London's burning, London's burning, fetch the engine. London's burning, London's burning, fetch the engine. London's burning, London's burning, fetch the engine, fetch the engine. Fire, 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 pour on water, pour on water. London's burning, London's burning, fetch the engine, fetch the engine, fetch the engine, fetch the engine. Fire on water, fire on water, pour on water, pour on water.
Welcome back to JTV, people. Let's talk about Fire London. This one's called Fire London.
His message was simple: repent or burn. Fire had a symbolic hold on the 17th century imagination. It was not only dreaded on an everyday basis, but it was also seen as the principal mechanism for the end of all things, as if one spark could set off a chain of disaster, bringing hellfire down on Earth itself. King Charles II was so concerned that he wrote to the Lord Mayor, warning of the ease with which a conflagration could take hold. He gave royal authority to imprison all those who flouted building regulations and reiterated the need to be watchful. Houses should be equipped with buckets and ladders, and churches should act as rallying points. But although everyone seemed to know that disaster was imminent, no one could foretell exactly when, how, or why an ordinary, everyday fire would turn into a conflagration. On Saturday the 1st of September 1666, the King's baker, Thomas Fariner, was preparing for the Sabbath. His bakery lay in Pudding Lane, a narrow alley famed for its sellers of sweetmeats, pastries, and of course, puddings.
Pudding Lane was a fast food area, really. There were probably cookhouses, as well as bakers and other food purveyors, and very busy at all times of day, particularly at midday when people wanted something to eat. There'd be cook shops, which were like open kitchens where you could buy a pie or a piece of roast pork very, very cheaply and wander off down the street eating it. And people would be roasting on spits. I mean, you're not talking about one little spit with the joint on it. You're talking about 4 or 5 spits with 2 or 3 little boys turning them, each spit with about 6 joints on it. So you might have, 15 joints in front of a fire. So what you have is an enormous fire, and sometimes going up canopies that were made of wattle and daub. Sometimes the actual chimneys were not made of brick at all. They were hood fireplaces made of wood, covered with mud, and sometimes they went up in flames. It's a dangerous place, Pudding Lane.
On the night of September the 1st, Thomas Fariner retired to bed, as a contemporary fire account observed, leaving his providence with his slippers. It was the last night of Old London. The fire started between 1 and 2 in the morning. It was first noticed by a journeyman sleeping above the ovens, who awoke to find his bedroom filling with smoke. Once it took hold, any Londoner knew that the first thing to do would be to evacuate the building as quickly as possible. But by the time the alarm had been raised in the rest of the house, The Farroners found the stairs impassable. They fled up to the roof space. Here, their maid was too frightened to jump down onto the cobbles below and became the first victim of the fire.
Violence for more than a century.
How long can you suppress a feeling? Right? How long can you suppress a feeling, man?
Of violence for more than a century.
How long can you suppress a feeling? Right? How long can you suppress a feeling, man?
The police lost control. Hundreds of officers were injured. Fighting, looting and burning filled Brixton streets.
That was the mood of everybody. Kill or be killed.
This is the story of why more than 1,000 Londoners declared war on the police.
They couldn't care what injuries they caused, or even if they killed people. That was quite obvious.
They were the enemy. Simple as that.
Brixton is a warning of what can happen when a community feels targeted because of its culture or the colour of its skin. Brixton is a cheerless place where only sleep affords relief. Every night, new inmates arrive by the van load, dispatched from the Old Bailey and the criminal courts of the capital. They cross the threshold of a century long gone. Most come here on remand, some to await sentence. If Dickens were within, he'd find that little had changed. The reception block stands frozen in time.
Willis, you left Pentonville? Yeah. And you've been committed for trial at the Old Bailey?
Paul Willis spent the previous night in a police cell, the night before at Pentonville. His family have now lost track of him. This is his first taste of Brixton. What's Brixton's reputation outside?
Well, nobody wants to come here. That's for sure. It's got a bad reputation.
It's a bewildering place, but better than it was a year ago when 1,000 prisoners packed its wings, many 2 or 3 to a cell. Now the numbers are down to 750. Paul is bound for F-Wing, the medical block, and that's the grimmest of all. Paul isn't sick. He's come here because the top 2 landings are now reserved for healthy prisoners. 12 months ago, all 4 landings were crammed with 250 inmates, most of them mentally ill. F-Wing was bedlam. F-Wing was hell. Here, most of the 15 inmates took their lives. The cell doors are now painted in soothing pastel. The 2 landings below still house the mentally disturbed, their number now reduced to 100.
Do you want to get your water or do you want to get something else on it? What's the cell like? A single cell, I suppose that's some consolation. You know who you're going to be locked up with there, really. And this is a medical wing as well. With all the head cases in here, isn't it? It's a medical wing as well, isn't it? Got all nuts in here, I think, and that.
But those people who are mentally disturbed
They are downstairs,
not up here.
That's right.
But it's the same wing. Is that concerning?
Yeah, slightly.
Names, like paint, are designed to wipe out memories. F-Wing, the medical block, is now referred to as the Healthcare Annex. The prisoners still call it Fraggle Rock, named after the Muppets Madhouse.
If you carry on down this end, John, I'm going to do the watch up the other end for you.
Disturbed
They are downstairs,
not up here.
That's right.
But it's the same wing. Is that concerning?
Yeah, slightly.
Names, like paint, are designed to wipe out memories. F-Wing, the medical block, is now referred to as the Healthcare Annex. The prisoners still call it Fraggle Rock, named after the Muppets Madhouse.
If you carry on...
Of
October 6, 1985, saw PC Blakelock and his fellow officer, PC Richard Coombs, outnumbered and attacked while trying to protect firefighters. Journalist Peter Woodman was on the scene.
There'd been some trouble earlier in the day, and we'd been sent down, a reporter and I had been sent down here, and we thought all the trouble had finished. But when we got to this point here, all hell broke loose. The police were all lined up along here, and we could see, by the light of burning vehicles, missiles just raining down on the police.
But Mr. Woodman ended up making an early exit after he was caught in the crossfire.
Somebody let off a shotgun, and pellets, the pellets hit one of the shields, or hit some of the shields, and splattered, and they showered into where all the reporters were standing. And some went on to me. They weren't fortunately going very fast. Some stuck in my raincoat. It was raining lightly, or a bit like it is today, with the raincoat open. And so I had to depart the field, as it were, and go off to hospital.
Well, the partner of the man whose death triggered the weekend's riots has told Channel 4 News that the protests against his death have got out of control. In her first television interview, Simone Wilson denied that Mark Duggan was a gangster and criticised the police for their lack of communication with his family after he died. But she said the riots of the last 3 days have nothing to do with the initial protest march in Tottenham on Saturday. Our Home Affairs correspondent Simon Israel reports.
Simone Wilson is still in shock, still struggling to pick up the pieces, still trying to get answers. Mark Duggan was her partner and was the man police shot dead in Tottenham last Thursday night. The demonstration that followed wanted answers. The riots that followed wanted something else.
There's a lot of angry people out there. People that don't even know Mark are angry at the way it was dealt with.
Who do you hold responsible?
The police.
Oh.
Definitely the police. My children don't know. Mark's children don't know that he's gone. We can't tell them yet because they're going to be asking questions. And we don't have the answers to it.
In Tottenham, the communities are awash with rumour. Thursday night's official version was Duggan opened fire, the police shot back, and these pictures show the aftermath. CPR couldn't change anything. Then there were reports of only 2 bullets being fired, and the one that lodged in a police radio may be police issue. More rumours.
If he had the gun in his hand, why didn't they shoot him in his hand to disarm him? Why did he get a shot to his chest? They're telling me they can't answer that question. They don't know. That's all I'm getting. They don't know.
The vacuum of uncertainty prompted the demonstration. They wanted answers. Tottenham police didn't have them. Worse still, they waited in hope. They were told the police commissioner was on his way, but he never arrived.
I know Mark. Mark is not going to do that. 100%. 100%. Mark is the kind of person, if he did have a gun, which I don't know, if he did, Mark would run. Mark is a runner. He would run rather than firing. And that's coming from the bottom of my heart. I know. I know.
Did you know he had a gun?
No.
So that was a surprise to you?
That was a surprise. Mark, they're portraying Mark to be a gangster. Mark is not a gangster. He's not known to any gangsters or any gangs. He's not like that.
Today, the Independent Police Complaints Commission promised that the results of ballistic tests will be known in the next 24 hours. But Channel 4 News has learned that the bullet that killed Mark Duggan and the bullet that lodged in an officer's radio were both fired by police. Some community leaders in Tottenham are adamant the riots were not the first police operation that went pear-shaped, and where the potential consequences were only barely thought through.
the expectation, I think, of the local community was that senior people would be on hand to provide comfort, policing, but also answers to families like the Duggan family.
And they weren't. They were either at the yard or they were on holiday.
That's what I'm told. And that is unacceptable, given that obviously the public expectation is that people recognise the importance of this situation once it had happened on Thursday.
It's got out of hand, but it's gone way past. It's not connected to this anymore. I don't think it's got nothing to do with the march. This is out of control. It's out of control. Innocent people are getting hurt. Children have got no homes. It's just not needed at all.
And now it's even further out of hand, with another night ahead of disturbances verging on riots. But what's emerging about what triggered all of this last week offers little comfort, if it turns out there was no gunfight, in direct contradiction of the official version.
It was an incredible, exciting week. Hello. All the celebrations, we've now got us all business, and that's how I started that day.
I had been celebrating the night before. I quickly jumped on the first carriage I could see. I got my favourite seat in the corner, you know that where no one's leaning on you one side. Favourite seat was there, and I directly went there, and that was the time that I could read my paper, and I was reading my paper that morning about the Olympics. The huge white light was in front of my eyes. I don't remember a big noise. It felt like something
coming in from a colleague. Boss, just to let you know, we think there's a fire on the underground. I didn't think any more of that. Fire on the underground, that could happen. That would be something that the authorities on the underground would deal with.
Well, we've got another one, I'm afraid.
Right, hang on. Just bear with us, because we've got something else going on. How?
It all happens in one day, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it? All at the same time. Do you want to give me another one now?
Yeah, it's at King's Cross Underground.
And what was that there?
On the eastbound Piccadilly line, smoke in the tunnel.
I just remember seeing this trainer and thinking, if my trainer's up there, where are my legs?
Then got a little bit more sinister when you then get another message a couple of minutes later, there's another fire. That's when you start to take a deep breath in and say, no, this doesn't seem right.
I've just spoken to the PIC. They believe they've had an explosion at Russell Square. But it looks like all lines are having problems and people are self-detraining. 3 separate incidents? 3, yeah. Code Amber, definitely. Code Amber, the whole network. We're going to stop the whole network. All right, darling, this is what we believe has happened. Yeah. I've had an explosion at Edgware Road. Yeah. I've had an explosion at Russell Square, I think. Yeah. And then an explosion at Liverpool Street.
Started to clear. It became pretty obvious there weren't fires and that they were explosions.
What is absolutely clear?
I knew that
We know with certainty that we've got attacks. So you press the terrorist attack button long and hard.
I knew that I was the last person to get out of that tube, because the fireman had to cut me out. And I got the feeling that someone grabbed hold of my arm.
By what was happening.
Very fearful, very insecure. Nobody wanted us. Still less. Nobody liked us. What the hell were we doing here in this situation when we were given to believe that we were coming here, in fact, to a home away from home?
With the white mob out to menace them and the lack of protection from the police, the black community decided enough was enough. A meeting was convened in Toto Bags Blues Club at number 9 Blenheim Crescent.
During the day we made preparations for the attack. And I can quite clearly remember that I was standing on the second floor with the lights out in Blenheim Crescent when I saw look out and see from Kensington Park Road to Portobello Road was massive lot of people out there. And I distinctly hear when they say, let's burn the niggers. Let's lynch the niggers. And from those spoken words, I said, start bomb them. And then you see the Molotov cocktail bombs coming out from number 9 Blenheim Crescent. Then they say, oh, they are bombing us too. I said, open the gates and throw them back where they are coming from. And they will come from Latimore Road area and things. Then when the police saw the amount of people that was in number 9, they drove the Black Maria and rammed the gates and said, not another one of you black bastards coming out. And I was arrested immediately. But from then on, the rest of my colleagues took over.
I saw a large crowd of coloured men, about 30, walking along Blenheim Crescent towards Ladbroke Grove. They were completely blocking the footway and I had shouts of, what about it now?
I had a motorbike and I was riding down Westbourne Park Road and a friend of mine came flying up towards me and leapt on the back of the bike and said, turn around, I'm being chased. And I thought it was some of the Latimer Road mob chasing him, and there's a load of blacks in a van chased me around. Black people going round, black young kids were going round in vans with those shuttered doors, and they were throwing the doors open and jumping out and attacking white people, young people, incidentally. So he was caught up in one of those scrapes, came flying up the road, jumped on the back of my bike and we shot away. That was when I realised it was real.
The police also witnessed this new black aggression.
I approached a coloured man who appeared to be holding a carving knife. He said, I'm only carrying this for protection. You want to get those white bastards.
The situation was so bad that we fell in for a penny, in for a pound. If we're going to be killed or we're going to be beaten up, well, let's bloody well have a go. Not me personally, but I remember seeing convoys of black men coming over from Brixton, night after night after night, not only to represent themselves, but to represent those of us who were too scared to go out. And if any black group took the brunt of the violence, Jamaicans from Brixton took it. They saved our skins from being mauled even more than we were. Not me personally, but I
The police also witnessed this new black aggression.
I approached a coloured man who appeared to be holding a carving knife. He said, I'm only carrying this for protection. You want to get those white bastards.
The situation was so bad that we fell in for a penny, in for a pound. If we're going to be killed or we're going to be beaten up, well, let's bloody well have a go. Not me personally, but I remember seeing convoys of black men coming over from Brixton, night after night after night, not only to represent themselves, but to represent those of us who were too scared to go out. And if any black group took the brunt of the violence, skins. Jamaicans from Brixton took it. They saved our skins from being mauled even more than we were.
In my mind, this was the real first incident of black people fighting back, both literally and symbolically, in Britain, and in that sense was a hugely significant occasion. And after that, you did have black people themselves assembling to protect themselves and throwing stones back at the white crowd, and the police were presented with a wholly more serious situation in which racial crowds were actually fighting each other.
By now, the Met had brought in reinforcements from all over London to cope with the disturbance.
Smoke was so thick you couldn't see through it. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face. You're hoping you're never going to have to face or go through fires like that.
The lights went out, completely shut into darkness, and then I'm now sort of rolling about on the floor in the dark, with really just the noise of the roaring of the fire in the background. There have been so many changes since the King's Cross fire, not just to the underground. If you look at King's Cross as a place.
This is King's Cross Station today, used by more than 95 million underground passengers per year. And here it is 3 decades ago, older, dirtier and more dangerous. On the 18th of November 1987, this message came through to the fire station in Soho. An escalator was on fire, it said.
Hi. Now we're comfortable. Let's talk urine leakage. Tenormen Active Fit Pants are designed for men with a discreet, secure fit and protects like Tenor. No more dribble dramas.